The room went silent the moment my dad said it, loud, proud, and almost heroic, as if he had just announced a great sacrifice for the country. "We gave your wedding fund to your sister. She deserves a real wedding." His voice echoed in the living room in a tone that was worse than cruelty. It was confidence, unshakable, justified confidence, the kind that comes from years of getting away with favoritism. My sister, Mia, sat beside him, smiling like a princess waiting for applause. She crossed her legs, adjusted her diamond bracelet, the one she got from Dad last month just because, and looked at me as if she expected me to clap too. Like this was all normal. I didn't cry, not even a tremble in my eyes. Instead, I slowly turned my head toward my fiancé, Rowan. He was sitting beside me, his hands folded, his posture calm, but his jaw tight enough to crack stone. Rowan stood up. Not fast, not sudden. Slowly, deliberately, like a man who had already made a decision long before he touched his knee off the sofa. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and said in a voice so smooth the air itself seemed to listen, "Should I tell them what I do for a living?" Mia's smile vanished instantly. That was the first time panic flickered across her face. Her glossy lips parted, her eyelashes froze mid-blink, and her fingers curled tight around her dress. Dad shifted in his seat, confused. Mom blinked rapidly, but no one spoke. Rowan looked directly at my father, his blue eyes sharp and steady. "Actually, no, let's not talk about me just yet." He slipped his phone back into his pocket. "Let's talk about your daughter, the one you just robbed." My father's eyebrows dropped. "Robbed. Don't be dramatic." Rowan tilted his head with a smile that wasn't a smile at all. "Your daughter has been saving for 5 years, working 2 jobs, skipping vacations, skipping nights out, sacrificing sleep, losing weight from stress, and for what? So you could hand her wedding fund to someone who thinks designer handbags are personality traits." Mia flinched. Dad opened his mouth, but Rowan raised a single hand. He didn't shout. He didn't speak fast. He simply controlled the room with quiet authority. I had seen him negotiate with millionaires like this, calm. "Efficient, sharp, not yet," Rowan said. "I'm not finished." My heart hammered in my chest, but I kept my expression neutral. I didn't want them to see how deeply this stabbed me. I knew showing weakness here would only feed them. For years, I'd watched my parents pour everything into Mia. Their golden child, their pride, their treasure. I was the responsible one. The one who never complained, the one who understood. And maybe that was my biggest flaw. I understood too much. I always forgave, always let it go, always swallowed the pain quietly, but not today, not after this. Rowan continued, "Your daughter." He pointed at me, "has never asked you for anything, not once in her adult life. She handled everything herself, and the one time she needed your support, you handed her entire fund to someone who already drains you financially every 2 months. Mia's voice cracked. "Dad, are you just going to let him talk to me like that?" Dad finally found his voice. "Rowan, watch yourself. This is a family matter." Rowan smirked. "Exactly. And I'm about to become part of this family. So let me be clear about how I operate." He leaned forward slightly. The air changed. Mia swallowed hard. Mom clasped her hands together. Dad stiffened. "I'm not angry." Rowan said, "Anger is impulsive. What I am is observant, and what I observe is simple. This is not a family dynamic. This is exploitation disguised as tradition." Dad stood up. "That's enough. You don't talk to me like—" Rowan stepped even closer, lowering his tone. "You didn't just disrespect your daughter. You insulted me. You assumed I was too weak or too broke to see the insult for what it is." Dad froze. And then it hit me. They didn't know. They didn't know who Rowan really was. They thought he was just another office guy, another average income fiancé, another quiet man whose pride they could stomp on. Rowan looked at me for half a second, just enough for me to understand he was about to expose something big. "You know," he said, "I was planning to keep things humble. I didn't want money to define anything. I wanted to enter this family quietly." He let the suspense hang in the air. "But since your priorities revolve around money so deeply." He slid his phone out again. "Let's talk money." Mia's face drained of all color. Mom whispered, "Rowan, what are you doing?" "What I should have done the moment you tried to humiliate my fiancé," he replied. He tapped his phone and turned it around. There, glowing on the screen, were numbers that made my dad's lips part. Account balances, 7 figures, multiple accounts, one with a balance high enough to buy 3 houses in full cash. My father stepped closer, eyes widened. What? What is this? This? Rowan said calmly, is what I do for a living. I build companies. I buy failing businesses, turn them around, and sell them for millions. I don't brag about it. I don't flaunt it. I live simply, but make no mistake. Your daughter didn't pick someone who needed your money. She picked someone who wanted to build a life with her, not funded by you, but in spite of everything you failed to give her. Mia looked physically ill. Mom covered her mouth with both hands. Rowan slipped the phone back into his pocket and gently placed a hand on my shoulder. And now, he said, I will make sure she never has to rely on anyone who treats her like a backup option. Dad's voice cracked. I didn't know. Rowan, I didn't mean. You did. Rowan said quietly. You meant it. You just didn't expect consequences. He turned to me. We're leaving. I nodded without hesitation, but as I stood, something inside me snapped. A quiet string that had held me together for years finally broke. And when it broke, I felt nothing but clarity. I took a long, slow look at my sister's trembling face, the face that had smiled so brightly when my father announced taking my fund, the face that had lived her entire life on a throne built for my sacrifices. She looked away, good, because she had no idea what was coming next. As Rowan took my hand and led me to the door, my father called after us, Wait, we can fix this, don't go. Rowan didn't stop walking, and neither did I. But before stepping out, I glanced back and said, Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere far. I smiled, a smile so calm it chilled the room. I'm just going to build a life so big. You'll regret every second you underestimated me. Then I shut the door behind us. Outside, the evening breeze hit my face. Rowan squeezed my hand. You okay? I exhaled slowly, no. I said truthfully, but I will be. And that was the beginning not of heartbreak, but of revenge. Revenge that Mia, my parents, and everyone who sided with their favoritism would feel in ways they never imagined, because this time I wasn't going to be the quiet one. This time I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to rise, and every step I took upward, they were going to feel it. The next morning I woke up in Rowan's penthouse, sunlight pouring through the tall windows like quiet gold. It felt unreal. Not the apartment, I'd been here before, but the emptiness inside me. Last night's confrontation replayed in my head in fragments. My dad's proud voice, Mia's smile, Rowan's calm fury, the way their faces collapsed when they saw the truth. I sat up slowly, expecting the usual heaviness in my chest, but it wasn't there. Instead, something else sat inside me, a cold, sharp clarity. For the first time in years, I wasn't trying to make excuses for anyone. I wasn't trying to defend their actions. I wasn't trying to keep the peace. I wasn't trying to be the good daughter. I wasn't trying to apologize for simply existing. I was done. Rowan walked out of the bathroom in a t-shirt and joggers, drying his hair with a towel. He paused when he saw me awake. How are you holding up? I shrugged slightly, still processing. He sat beside me gently. I meant what I said last night. I know. And I didn't show them those numbers to flex. I showed them so they'd finally understand you're not someone they get to walk over anymore. I looked at him, and my voice came out lower than I expected. Rowan, when he said he gave my fund to Mia, I didn't even feel shocked. I felt expected, like some part of me already knew they'd eventually do something like that. He placed a hand on mine. You didn't deserve any of it. I let out a slow breath, no more staying quiet, no more swallowing pain so they can stay comfortable. I met his eyes with a steadiness I'd never felt before. I'm done being the backup daughter. Good, he said softly. Because I want us to build something real, something strong, not tied to your parents' approval. I nodded, we will. But deep inside me, something darker whispered, and I'll also show them what they lost. Later that day, Rowan and I sat together for hours planning. Not revenge, not directly. We weren't plotting to ruin anyone, but we were planning our life, and my life, for the first time, was going to be bigger than anything they had ever imagined for me. Rowan wanted to buy a new house. I wanted to finish my master's degree. Rowan wanted me to join him in his business. He said I had a mind for strategy. I laughed it off at first, but the way he looked at me made heat creep up my face. You used to pick apart corporate strategies for fun. He reminded me. You saved one of my deals with a single-sentence analysis. I never realized he noticed. I never realized anyone noticed. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed nonstop. Calls, messages, missed calls, voicemails, Dad, come home so we can talk. We didn't mean to hurt you. Mom, your father is upset. Mia is crying, just come home. Mia, you made us look bad in front of Rowan. Why would you do that? That last one almost made me laugh. I blocked Mia first, then Dad, then Mom. Rowan watched silently, not interfering, not pushing. Just watching me choose myself for the first time in my life. In the evening, we went to Rowan's office. He wanted to show me his current projects. The top floor was quiet, sleek, and sophisticated. Glass walls, city view, soft lights, the kind of place where power lived. This, Rowan said, gesturing around, is where I want you to come sometimes, learn, observe, grow. You're brilliant. I don't want you living under anyone's shadow ever again. I looked out at the city lights, feeling something rise inside me. Something fierce, something unstoppable, Rowan. I want to build something of my own. He smiled. I know. That's why I brought you here. The next hour changed everything. He walked me through the fundamentals of his newest deal. A failing events company. One that lost clients after bad management. Rowan bought it for cheap. It has potential, he said, but it needs someone who understands people, emotion, atmosphere, presentation, and that someone isn't me. Isn't me either, I said instinctively. He raised a brow. Really? You organized your entire office's corporate retreat last year. Your boss said it was the best event they'd ever had. I froze. You remember that? I remember everything you tell me. Something warm and dangerous twisted in my chest. Take the lead, he said. It'll be your project, your company, your decisions. My throat tightened. Rowan, I don't know if I can and you can. He cut in, and you will. I swallowed. What if I fail? Then we'll fix it together. A silence stretched between us. Then he said softly, do you trust me? I met his eyes. Yes. Good, because I trust you. And just like that, I agreed. I didn't know then how important this decision would become, or how it would tie into everything that happened next. All I knew was that I felt alive for the first time in my life. But life has a way of testing you the moment you start to rise. 2 days later, it began. I had just finished reviewing some proposals when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something inside me whispered to pick it up. Hello? A breath, a pause, then why did you block me? Mia. I hung up immediately. The phone rang again and again and again. Finally, Rowan looked at me, brows slightly raised. Want me to handle this? No. I said firmly, I'll handle her myself. I stepped out of the office and answered the next call. You have 30 seconds, I said flatly. Her voice came through sharp and angry. You embarrassed us. You embarrassed Dad. Do you have any idea how humiliated I felt? I almost laughed. You're humiliated. You took my wedding fund. It wasn't your money, she shot back. Dad saved that. He can give it to whoever he wants. And he gave it to you, I said calmly, because he's always given you everything. That's not my fault, she snapped. You're right, I said, but what comes next will be. She went silent. I continued, I'm getting married without any of you there. Not you, not Dad, not Mom. What? She breathed, and one more thing. I added, I will never let you leech off me again. Ever, leech? She exploded. Are you insane? You think you're better than me because your fiancé has money. No, I said quietly. I think I'm better than you because I don't steal from my own sister and smile while doing it. She was trembling with rage. I could hear it. This isn't over, she hissed. You want to play dirty? Fine. Let's see how long your little perfect life lasts. She hung up. I stared at my phone, heart steady, breath calm. Rowan stepped behind me. Everything okay? Yes. I said simply, she's scared. Why? Because she can feel it. I whispered that I'm changing, that I'm not the same sister she's been walking over since childhood. I looked out at the skyline. She can feel I'm becoming someone she can't control. Rowan wrapped an arm around me. Let her be scared. I leaned into him. Oh, I will. But what I didn't know then was that Mia wasn't just scared. She was planning something that would hit deeper than I ever expected. Planning something meant to break me before I could rise. But she forgot one thing. You can't break someone who's already rebuilding herself from the ground up. And when someone like that fights back, they don't fight fair, they fight to win. The shift in the air began 3 days later. I didn't notice it at first. Life was moving fast. Meetings with Rowan late. Night planning, learning the ropes of the events company he handed to me. Every day felt like stepping further into a new version of myself. A version I liked, a version I trusted. But revenge stories never unfold neatly. They unravel slowly, one thread at a time. The first thread was a message, an invitation I wasn't expecting. A wedding invitation, white envelope, gold trimming, my sister's name embossed across the front like royalty, Mia and Adam. My hands tightened around the paper. They had sent it to Rowan's penthouse address, meaning she had gone out of her way to track down where I lived now. I opened the card. You're invited to celebrate the union of my Evans and Adam Henderson with friends and family. Friends and family, family. The word looked wrong beside her name. Rowan looked up at me from the sofa, his expression unreadable. You don't have to open that. I toss the card onto the table. She wants a reaction. I don't give her one. But my mind replayed something from the past, something small, insignificant, buried. The night she met Adam for the first time, she had complained nonstop afterward. He's obsessed with money. She had said, he only likes people who are doing well. Ugh, I hate people like that. Interesting. Now suddenly she was marrying him, not for love, for status, for the spotlight. For a wedding bigger than mine would have been. Rowan placed a hand on my back. She's rushing it. There's pressure behind this. Oh, I know, I said, and she thinks sending me this card hurts me. But what she didn't know was that I wasn't the same girl she used to compete with. I wasn't desperate for family approval. I wasn't begging for love, and I definitely wasn't jealous of her fake fairy tale wedding. Still, something told me this wedding was a piece of a bigger puzzle she was building against me. And I was right. The second thread showed itself the same afternoon. Rowan and I had gone to tour a potential venue for the first event we were planning. It was an old warehouse with tall ceilings and industrial charm, perfect for a modern, high-budget corporate event. I was discussing layout possibilities with the manager when I noticed him suddenly shift. His eyes went from me to Rowan, then back to me. Then something in his expression changed. He hesitated, almost as if unsure if he should continue speaking to me. When we walked out, Rowan said quietly, he recognized you. I frowned. From where? He unlocked the car door, not from anywhere good. That uneasy feeling tightened in my stomach. What do you mean? He took out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, then handed it to me. Sitting there was a social media post, a photo of me, not a flattering one, taken from a strange angle, slightly blurry, at a cafe I went to last weekend. Caption, this girl is marrying for money. She trapped a billionaire by lying about her past. Be careful of people like her. My breath froze. Hundreds of comments, thousands of likes. The account was anonymous, but the writing style, the bitterness, the timing. It was Mia. Rowan watched my reaction closely. You're not allowed to take this personally. I forced myself to breathe. She followed me, took my picture, and posted it publicly. She wants to ruin your reputation before you build it. A storm rose inside me. She thinks she can destroy me with lies. I whispered. Rowan's jaw hardened. Do you want me to rip this down legally? No. I said firmly. Rowan blinked. No. I looked at the screen again, letting the hateful comments sink in. Not to hurt me, but to sharpen me. She's fighting dirty. If I respond emotionally, she wins. If I respond publicly, she wins. If I try to defend myself. I looked up at him, voice cold. She wins. So what's your plan? He asked quietly. I let her dig the hole deeper. Rowan's lips curved slightly. That's my girl. I didn't reply. My mind was already racing ahead. Calculating, analyzing, planning. Mia always thought she was smarter. Always thought she could outshine me. Always thought she could stay one step ahead. But she didn't know this version of me. She didn't know the woman Rowan believed in. She didn't know what I could do when pushed. 2 days passed and the posts increased. More photos, more lies, more comments, more poison. People were sharing it now. Some even created fake stories of meeting me and having bad experiences. The smear campaign was growing. I told Rowan to stay out of it. Let me handle my sister, I said, and he let me, because he knew I needed to win this battle on my terms. Meanwhile, the events company project was moving forward. I threw myself into it ruthlessly, working late nights, planning bold strategies, building networks, and analyzing the market. Rowan watched with pride as I stepped into the role fully. Assertive, sharp, and fearless. But fear returned one evening when we came back to the penthouse and found my mother sitting in the lobby. She looked smaller somehow, older, weaker. Seeing her there cracked something inside me. Not enough to break me again, but enough to remind me that I once loved these people deeply. She stood up when she saw us. "Can we talk?" Rowan glanced at me. I nodded slowly. We walked up to the lounge area. She sat across from us, clutching her bag like it held her last hope. "I know you blocked us," she began softly. "And I know why. Your father feels terrible, truly. He hasn't slept properly since that night." I stayed silent. "He didn't mean to hurt you," she said. "He just thought Mia needed it more." I finally spoke. "Exactly, that's the problem," she flinched. "I don't hate you." I added gently, "I'm just tired." Her eyes glossed. "We don't want to lose you." "You did lose me," I said, "when you made your choice." Rowan remained quiet. "He always gave me space with my parents." My mother wiped her eyes. "Please come to Mia's wedding, for me." The room turned colder instantly. I leaned back slowly, studying her expression. She wants me there so she can show off. She wants people to see that she got the wedding I was supposed to have. "That's not true, it is," I said. "And if I show up, I let her win. Mom swallowed its family. You can't cut ties forever." I met her eyes without blinking. "Watch me." She gasped softly. "You've changed." "Yes," I said, finally. She stood up, shaken. "If you don't come, your father will be devastated. He devastated me first." She pressed a trembling hand to her chest. "Please think about it." She left quietly. I didn't move for a long time. Rowan finally spoke. "That hurt you. Of course it did." I whispered, "But pain doesn't mean I should go back." He took my hand. "I'm proud of you." I looked at him. "What if they turn even uglier?" Then, he said with a steady voice, "We'll respond in ways uglier than they can imagine." I smiled faintly. "You're too calm, because I know something you don't." "What?" "That Mia is about to destroy herself. She just doesn't know it yet." I frowned. "What are you talking about?" He reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a document. A printed one. I took it. My heart stopped. It was a financial report. My father's business and Mia's upcoming wedding expenses. All charged to the business accounts, tens of thousands, illegally, with Mia's signature. And my father's. Coldness crawled down my spine. "How did you get this?" Rowan leaned back casually. "I had a quiet conversation with one of your father's accountants. Turns out your dad's company is in trouble. Deep trouble. They're using funds carelessly. And now Mia's wedding is being paid mostly from company money." My throat tightened. "Why?" "Because they don't have enough personal savings left. Your father has been covering Mia's lifestyle for years. He drained almost everything." I felt the shock hit me hard, and now, Rowan continued, "If anyone reports unauthorized usage." I looked at him sharply. "Dad could lose the company, and Mia could face legal consequences." A slow, dangerous smile spread across my face. "So that's why she's attacking me publicly." I whispered, "She wants to ruin my name before her own secrets come out." Rowan nodded. "She's desperate." I stood up. Everything suddenly made sense. The rush to get married, the lies online, the obsession with image. She wasn't just jealous. She was terrified. Terrified that I, the sister she underestimated all her life, now had the power to expose her. She thought if she destroyed my reputation, I said quietly, I wouldn't have the credibility to expose hers. Rowan walked toward me, his eyes locked on mine. "What are you going to do?" I looked down at the financial document in my hand, then out at the dark city skyline. I'm going to her wedding, I said softly. Rowan smirked. To congratulate her? No. I turned to him, feeling a calmness so cold it scared even me, to bury her. The storm was coming, and Mia had no idea she was standing directly in its path. The morning of Mia's wedding arrived with the kind of silence that comes before a storm. The city felt different, heavy, charged, vibrating with something unseen. I woke before dawn, sitting upright in bed with a clarity I had never felt before. Rowan wasn't beside me. He had been up since 5, preparing what he called contingencies. I didn't ask, I trusted him. He trusted me, and together, today, we would end an entire era of my life. When I walked into the living room, he turned around, took one long look at me, and smiled almost dangerously. You're ready. I've never been more ready. He handed me a folder. Everything you need is in here. I held it tightly. And once I start, there's no going back. That's the point, he said. Burn the bridge. I'm not just burning it. I answered quietly. I'm turning it into ash. We drove to the venue in silence, not out of tension, but out of focus. The drive felt endless, cutting through the heart of the city. The venue itself was extravagant. White roses, gold decor, crystal chandeliers, and a guest list filled with influencers, distant relatives, business partners, and every shallow person Mia had ever tried to impress. She had spared no expense, not that she could afford any of it, not without using Dad's company funds. As we walked into the grand hall, heads turned instantly. Conversation stopped, cameras lifted. People whispered my face, the one she smeared online, was now a spectacle, but I didn't shrink. I walked tall, unbothered, calm. Rowan walked slightly behind me, eyes sharp, posture protective. Anyone with half a brain could feel the power around him. And anyone with a full brain knew better than to cross him. Mia spotted me first. She stood near the flower arch in her shimmering silver gown, eyes widening, smile freezing like melting wax. I could almost see the thoughts racing in her mind. Why is she here? How dare she show her face? What is she planning? She expected me to be fragile, embarrassed, broken. She didn't expect me to walk in wearing confidence like armor. Mom rushed toward me instantly. You came, she whispered, relief flooding her face. I didn't come for the wedding. I said softly, I came for the truth. Her face paled. Before she could ask what I meant, the ceremony coordinator called out, Everyone please take your seats. The wedding will begin shortly. Rowan leaned in quietly. Are you sure you want to do it before the vows? I shook my head, no. His brow lifted slightly. I'm doing it during the vows. His lips curved in admiration. Cruel, she taught me, I said. We took our seats. The musicians started playing soft strings. Guests whispered about my presence, some hiding smirks, others raising phones to take secret pictures. I ignored all of it. My heartbeat was slow and steady. The folder rested on my lap like a loaded weapon. Then the doors opened. Dad walked me down the aisle. Teary-eyed, proud, oblivious, Mia looked radiant, glowing from attention, not happiness. Her eyes flickered toward me only once, but that split-second glance told me everything. She was terrified. She just didn't know when the blow would land. Adam waited at the altar, smiling confidently, possibly clueless about the financial hurricane Mia had dragged him into. The officiant began the ceremony. The crowd watched with romantic excitement. I watched with surgical precision. Rowan rested his hand on my knee, a silent signal, whenever you're ready. When the time came for vows, the officiant smiled warmly. Would anyone like to say personal vows? Adam nodded, pulled out a card, and read something sweet and generic. Promising love, respect, loyalty. People all would, and dabbed at their eyes. Then it was Mia's turn. She turned gracefully, smiling at everyone, soaking in the attention. I'd like to thank my family, Mia began, for giving me everything. I stood up, the room froze, all heads turned, Mia's voice choked mid-sentence. Sit down and no, I said calmly, not this time. Rowan stayed seated, but his presence was solid behind me, quietly intimidating. Dad's voice trembled. Sweetheart, this isn't the place. It's exactly the place, I said. Everyone deserves to know the truth before the vows continue. Mia stepped forward, face tight. If you want attention so bad, get therapy. A few guests gasped. I smiled slowly. Good idea. Maybe Dad should get some too, especially after what he did with the wedding fund. The room silenced so hard you could hear the air shatter. Dad's face drained of color. We already discussed. We didn't discuss the rest. I said, opening the folder, what rest? Mia spat. I held up the documents. The company accounts, the transactions, the money you used illegally for this wedding. Gasps exploded across the hall. Faces turned. Adam stiffened. Mia's eyes widened, then narrowed with panic. You're lying. Show him. Rowan said from behind me, voice smooth and lethal. I handed the papers to Adam myself. He scanned them quickly, his face turning white, then red, then sickly pale. Mia, these charges, these are from corporate accounts, these totals. Why is your signature here? Mia stuttered. Dad said. Dad tried to interfere. It's a misunderstanding, no. I said clearly, it's fraud. Someone in the crowd whispered illegal. Another whispered, that's embezzlement. Adam turned to Mia, voice shaking with anger. You told me your father was paying. You told me everything was clean. Mia reached for him, voice cracking. I did it for us, for our wedding. No, I said coldly. You did it because you wanted to outshine me. The entire hall stared at her like she was unraveling in front of them. Mia looked around desperately, searching for an escape. Then she snapped. You think you're so perfect, she screamed at me. You're nothing without Rowan. You're jealous, you always have been. Really? I asked, calm as ice. Then why did you make fake accounts to smear me online? People gasped again. Her mouth fell open. I pulled out printed screenshots of her anonymous posts, the usernames, the IP trace Rowan had quietly run. Everything. Dad looked at Mia in horror. You did this to your sister. She deserved it. Mia shrieked. She always got more love. Dad's voice cracked. No, you always got more. Everything you asked for, everything. Mia froze. Adam stepped back from her. I'm calling off this wedding. Mia spun toward him, screaming, you can't. But the damage was done. He left the altar. Guests whispered furiously. Some walked out. Some filmed. Mom covered her face, sobbing. Dad sat down hard, like reality finally hit him. Mia stood trembling in the center of the stage. Makeup smeared, gown shaking, breath uneven. She looked at me with pure hatred. Are you happy now? I walked toward her slowly, stopping just inches away. No, I said softly, but I am free. She shook her head in disbelief. You ruined me. You ruined yourself, I replied. I just stopped covering for you. Her voice cracked. You don't get to walk away like the hero. I'm not the hero, I said. I'm just done being your victim. She broke, fell to her knees, crying. Not pretty tears, but the ugly, broken sobs of someone who finally saw the truth of their own rot. Rowan walked up behind me, placed a steady hand on my back, and whispered, it's over. I nodded, yes, it is. We walked out of the hall together, leaving the chaos behind us. Outside, the cold air felt sharp, clean, almost holy. I exhaled everything I had held in for years. Rowan cupped my face gently. You did it. I had to. I whispered. You didn't just end them, he said. You saved yourself. And for the first time in a long time. I believed him. He pulled me into a soft, grounding hug, ready to start your real life now. I breathed in deeply, more than ready. As we drove away, the venue shrinking behind us, I looked out the window and smiled. Not with triumph, not with cruelty, but with peace. Because revenge isn't always about destroying someone. Sometimes. It's about finally choosing yourself, and I chose my dignity. I chose my future. I chose the life I deserved. I chose Rowan. And for the first time in forever, I won.